Even before Donald Trump won the US elections, I said that Trump's victory could become a key moment for the Dominican Republic, since Donald Trump has long-standing and very close ties with this country. And now just a little over 2 months have passed since Marco Rubio's visit to the Dominican Republic, and news of sweeping changes in legislation, which will undoubtedly have a positive impact on the country's economy and the lives of its citizens are coming one after another. Today, I will share just some of the news. The rest will be covered in future episodes. So what is happening in the Dominican Republic today? Today, the President of the Dominican Republic, Luis Abinader, announced the introduction of new legislation concerning the labor market and the country's immigration policy. And these are very significant changes. Now, only legal workers can have the right to work in the Dominican Republic in general, and on construction sites in particular. Previously, tens of thousands of Haitians worked as manual laborers on construction sites across the country. The majority of them were in the country illegally. Think back to Russia in the early 2000s, when 80% of construction workers in Russia were from Tajikistan. Entire families from Tajikistan would come to major Russian cities to earn money, and construction sites resembled small Central Asian towns. Moreover, 80% of these workers were working illegally and received their wages in cash. Order was restored in Russia by 2010, when strict government control over the workforce was introduced. Something similar is happening today in the Dominican Republic. The law will come into force in 2 months, giving employers time to put everything in order, to obtain work permits for the workers they need, to eliminate cash payments on construction sites, and much more. After that, inspections and the identification of violations will begin. These violations will be strictly punished with fines, because both for illegal workers and for employers. To identify illegal immigrants throughout the country, a special division of the Migration Police will be created, whose task will be to detect illegal immigrants nationwide and ensure their swift deportation. And the focus, of course, is specifically on people from Haiti, who have flooded Dominican construction sites by the tens of thousands. In addition, over the course of the year, all previously issued work permits for foreigners will be thoroughly reviewed, since, according to the authorities, a very large number of these permits were simply sold for money to people who had absolutely no right to them. At the same time, salaries for law enforcement officers will be significantly increased, and very harsh penalties for accepting bribes will be introduced. The fight against bribery and corruption is now becoming a priority in the Dominican Republic, with all the resulting consequences. The minimum wage for legally employed workers is also being significantly increased. Wages for workers employed in free economic zones will increase by 25%. Wages for workers involved in the tourism and construction sectors will be raised by 30%. Special training and support programs for construction workers will be introduced. The goal of all these measures is to replace the large number of illegal workers with legal Dominican workers, and to completely eliminate the illegal labor market, as well as to switch all payments to cashless transactions, thereby significantly increasing tax revenues to the budget. What will be the consequences of the new laws for the construction industry? Well, first of all, in the coming months, developers will have to work hard to legalize the workers they need. Some workers will have to be legalized, while some Haitians will simply be replaced by local Dominicans. Secondly, as wages rise, the cost of construction will naturally increase as well. And this cannot help but put pressure on prices. And thirdly, the industry will squeeze out small developers from the market, those who don't have well-established connections with the authorities. It's just like with Confortur now, and Confortur means a 15-year tax exemption when buying a new property. But it's not given to all developers, only to the large, reliable, and proven ones. And this has already pushed a large number of small developers out of the market. And in light of the new laws, this trend will only intensify. Next, affordable projects aimed at local buyers will disappear from the market. Unlike the luxury segment, where large companies from the US, Argentina, and Spain are the main developers, in the budget segment, it's mostly small Dominican developers who are building. The profit in these projects is minimal, and in an effort to cut construction costs, developers mostly hired illegal workers, paying them next to nothing. It is the budget segment that will take the hardest hit. Large developers such as Naval, Gazprom, or the Argentine company Liza have already been using legal workers, and although construction costs will inevitably rise for them due to higher wages, these new changes will still place a much smaller burden on them than on the budget construction segment. In my opinion, such changes are definitely positive in the long run and will have a beneficial impact on the country's overall development. Many countries have gone through similar changes. And if we look at the experience of these countries, we can see that the result was always the same. Economic growth accelerated, wages increased, but at the same time, prices also rose. So, in my opinion, prices in the Dominican Republic will rise for almost everything in the near future. And of course, real estate prices will be no exception. In the coming months, I expect a one-time price jump of at least 5 to 7% in almost all projects currently for sale. So, if you are planning to buy real estate in the Dominican Republic, I wouldn't recommend putting it off. Do it as soon as possible. See you next time on the channel.